Latvia supports a ban on grain imports from Russia. The country's Minister of Economics, Viktor Valanis, believes that this will increase the effectiveness of sanctions against the aggressor country. Latvia calls Russia the main threat to Europe.
Russia will not stop. Russia can only be stopped. Stopping Russia in Ukraine does not mean that it is over. It simply means we will have to continue. That is what is important for NATO, that we will have to work on a long-term strategy of Russia containment. Krišjānis Kariņš, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Latvia, in an interview with the Financial Times.
The Baltic states are strengthening their defense and rearming. In 2024, 17,000 reservists will be called up for military training in Estonia. In May, large-scale exercises Spring Storm will take place. Lithuania will annually allocate 30 million euros for drones for its armed forces, the country's deputy defense minister said. They plan to modernize the air defense system and artillery. For this purpose, they want to significantly increase defense funding.
Now we finally have such a political will and public support. Before, people often said that there is no war, so why do we need this huge military budget? They thought that it's better to give this money to schools or to pensioners. But now nobody says that these are the consequences of this war.
In Europe, Putin's regime is seen as a threat to security on the continent. The Swedish government has addressed the country's citizens with the warning war may come to the country.
Many have said it before me, but let me make it official, more simple and with clarity. There can be war in Sweden.
Discussions on a new defense strategy have also begun in the country. Swedish Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson has said that Stockholm will send troops to Latvia in 2025 as a part of Canadian land force to deter Russia, despite the fact that the country has not yet become full NATO member. Sweden is ready to provide its military units to defend the Baltic states, the Prime Minister has said.
We and our neighbors live in the immediate shadow of Russia's war of conquest against Ukraine. But through threats, disinformation and cyber attacks, Russia is trying to destabilize all of Europe.
Russia will pose a threat even after Ukraine's victory, European politicians believe. The EU needs its own united army. Italian Foreign Minister Antonio Tajani believes that Europe needs a common peacekeeping force that could participate in preventing and settling possible conflicts.
If there was no problem with Russia, the idea of uniting armies would probably not be so acute. The first step they are going to take in the EU is probably the creation of a joint air defense group, the creation of mutual anti-aircraft missile systems that can be placed around the perimeter of the EU.
However, there is another way to stop Russia's aggression. To do so, we need to focus on supporting Ukraine. German Federal Chancellor Olaf Scholz has called on EU countries to increase military aid to Kyiv in 2024.
I call on our allies in the European Union to also step up their efforts in favor of Ukraine. Europe must demonstrate that it stands on the side of Ukraine, on the side of freedom, international law and European values. Olaf Scholz, Chancellor of Germany, from publication in Handelsblatt.
Germany ranks second in the world after the USA in terms of aid to Ukraine. Berlin plans to send 8 billion euros worth of aid and equipment to Kyiv in 2024, Deutsche Welle reported. Meanwhile, Washington has introduced companies to the military-industrial complex to provide Ukraine with access to advanced military technologies, Reuters reported. According to the source, some companies are already working directly with the Ukrainian government, reported by Anastasia Tarnavska, Nikita Skoblikov, UATV News.